banks how responsible you are paying back money that you owe. Your credit score ranges from about 300 to 850, with the best rates being given to credit scores above 740. It's kind of like getting a grade in school, except your credit score shows banks how likely you are to default on the loan that they give you. So the lower the score, the more likely you are to default on a loan that they give you, which means that they have to charge you a higher interest rate to make up for that. Or worst case, they just say, nah, and they want nothing to do with you because if you're like me, you didn't have any credit score to begin with. Likewise, if you have a high credit score, you're less likely to default on the loan and you're a safer bet for the bank, and they will charge you less interest because of that, saving you money. So if you want to invest in real estate, get a business loan, leverage your money, grow your wealth, you're going to need a good credit score. It's not so much about getting in debt, by the way. It's just showing banks that you're responsible with the debt that you're given and can pay it off on time every single month as agreed. So they calculate your credit score based off several factors. Now the first factor is how long you've had credit for. The longer you've had your credit, the more history you have and the higher the score you'll get. That's why it's so important, if you don't have a credit card right now, get a credit card because you're able to start the history earlier than if you had waited another year or so. The next is how much credit you actually use compared to how much credit you have available to you. This is called the utilization rate, and generally speaking, they like to see a low utilization rate, which means you only use a small percentage of the total amount of credit that you have available to you. The next one is obvious, it's on-time payments. You want to make sure that you pay off your credit card on time every single month, and that will help your score. The next one is a diversity and mix of credit cards and loans that you have. They generally like to see different types of credit cards and different types of loans, which show to the bank that you're responsible not only paying off a credit card, but also an auto loan, a lease, or a mortgage. So by showing this, generally you'll get a higher score. So the last one is total credit inquiries, which means that every time you go and apply for a new credit card or a loan, it's marked on your credit report as an inquiry. Banks don't like to see a lot of inquiries in a short amount of time because it gets them nervous that you're out there seeking as much money and credit as possible, and you're seen as a bit of a risk. But I wouldn't worry about this too much because credit inquiries only lower your score temporarily for about 6 months. So I wouldn't be too concerned about this. And for everyone starting out, it doesn't really matter anyway because you really don't have any credit to work off anyway. So if you're just starting out right now and you have zero credit, the first thing that you need to do is go to a local bank and get what's called a secured credit card. This means that you put down a few $100s and in return, they give you a credit card with your deposit that you've given them as collateral against the credit card, which means if you don't pay off your credit card, they hold a deposit from you that they can pay off the credit card with. Generally, I recommend a $300 to $500 limit, which means that you put down $300 to $500 and in return, they give you a $300 to $500 credit card. This is the best and easiest way for any bank to accept you as a first credit card. Now, one thing I want to make very clear is do not spend money you wouldn't ordinarily spend just because you have a credit card. Treat the credit card exactly as you would cash by putting normal expenses on it, little meals, gas, food, whatever it is. Keep minimal expenses on the credit card and make sure you pay it off in full every single month. There's a myth out there that says you should pay interest and carry a bit of a balance to increase your credit score, which is totally false. You don't need to pay any interest or any money to try to increase your credit score. That's false. Just pay it off in full every single month and use it responsibly. I'd recommend doing this for about 4 to 6 months, and that should give you enough time to build up some credit history. So after this, you'll have established a bit of credit history and you can go and apply for an unsecured credit card. I recommend the Capital One card or a Bank of America Cash Rewards card. I have both of these, and in fact, the Capital One was the first real unsecured card I got. I think I got a $500 limit at the time, but it really doesn't matter what limit you get. Just get something, and then again, do the same thing, put minimal expenses on it, and pay it off in full every single month. It's very important not to get carried away by having a limit and spending more money than you would otherwise. That defeats the purpose of having credit. You don't really need to do that. Just keep it minimal and make sure you pay it off in full every single month. Just remember, all of this is just showing the bank that you're able to pay off your debt on time as agreed. So after about a year of building your credit and paying it off on time in full every single month, it's time that you can apply for a charge card. And this is a card where you don't carry a balance at all, but you pay it off in full every single month. This is great because charge cards don't show a limit on your credit report, which means that if you spend $5,000 on it, it doesn't impact your utilization rate because it doesn't show a top-end limit. Now, my favorite of the charge cards is American Express. Now, I personally have the Gold card, which offers amazing rewards and points. I'll go into more detail in a future video, but essentially I've been able to travel to and from Canada to visit family for totally free, just paying with points, which is pretty cool. So now from here, you can just continue to add to your mix of credit cards, pay it off on time, and continue to get some credit history behind you. Eventually, you can start getting more advanced and start signing up for credit card reward bonuses, which is essentially you sign up for a credit card, you get a whole bunch of points for signing up for it, and you can use that for free airfare, trips, hotels, rental cars. Even though some of these are more advanced techniques, you can totally do this and take advantage of them when you have a good credit score. If you're interested in learning more about this, I recommend Googling credit card churning and reading more about it because it's pretty cool, and I definitely take advantage of as many credit card offers as I can. You can now also begin applying different types of debt to your mix, such as getting a mortgage, getting a car loan, a car lease. All of these things help diversify your credit report